Hello students, welcome back. Before we begin the lesson and today's teaching, I'd like to remind you on a couple of things. So you may pause and replay the video at any time throughout your learning, and you're working on this on your own. You have to be true to your work and be very honest to yourself because this is your knowledge. And then any notes that you need to take, go ahead and write them down on the math journal that I provided for you, which is the math packet that you have with you, that you should have with you. Okay, some of the materials that you're going to need for today is you will need a pencil, you'll need a red pen, and you will need your Module 5 book, the green Eureka book, and you're also going to need your math journal that I have provided for you. Okay, as you know, every Monday we start off by completing the multiplication T-chart for the 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. So go ahead and time yourself. You may use a phone, you may use the online timer to time yourself, but give yourself 5 minutes and make sure that you complete these facts in less than 5 minutes. That is your goal. So go ahead and pause the video. While you complete this, make sure that you are timing yourself and that you do it in less than 5 minutes. Go ahead and click pause. Okay, how many of you guys finished in less than 5 minutes? Awesome. Your goal was to finish in less than 5 minutes. So if you did, you are on the right track. If you didn't, go ahead and continue trying on your own, at your own pace, and just keep timing yourself to make sure that eventually you do meet the goal of less than 5 minutes. So these are the answers. You can go ahead and pause this video right now so that you can check your work and make sure that all the multiplication facts are correct. I'll give you some time. You may pause the video now. Okay, students. Today's lesson is we will be working with decomposing fractions as the sum of unit fractions. As you are seeing on the screen, I have displayed the key points. There are 4 key points for today's lesson. Go ahead and write the date and write the Module 5, Lesson 1. Fill out the objective. And then there are 3 vocabulary words for today. Decompose, to break apart. Unit fractions, these are fractions that represent one part of the whole. And it's any fraction that has a 1 as a numerator. And I've provided some examples here. 1/4 is a unit fraction because it has a 1 as a numerator. 1/5 is also a unit fraction. 1/10 is a unit fraction. 1/12 is a unit fraction. Can you think of more unit fractions? If you can think of more, you can write them down somewhere down here. Our next vocabulary word is improper fraction. This is a fraction that is greater than 1. And you will see throughout the lesson that it's a fraction that has a greater numerator than the denominator. Go ahead and pause this video so that you can write down all these notes, and when you're done, go ahead and click play. Okay, students, so we're going to begin with our lesson. The objective for today is students will be able to decompose fractions as a sum of unit fractions, and we're using tape diagrams, or what you already know as strip diagrams. So I'm going to go ahead and read the instructions. Draw a number bond and write the number sentence to match each tape diagram. The first one is done for you. So we're going to reference our key points for today's lesson just to make sure that we are on the right track to mastering this objective. So as you can see here, you have one whole. Key point number 1 is draw a fraction strip to represent the whole. Since you're working with thirds, the fraction that represents one whole is 3/3. So you're going to sketch a fraction strip and divide it or partition it into 3 parts. This one is already done for you. Key point 2, label with unit fraction. So you're going to label every part with a unit fraction. So this is 1 part out of 3, and you read it as 1/3. What do you think this one is? That is correct, 1/3. And this one? Yes, 1/3. Now we're going to show the sum of unit fractions. So we're focusing on the shaded part. So you have 2 parts out of the 3 that are shaded. This one here represents 1/3. This one here represents 1/3. So you have 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. And key point 4, show using a number bond. So then you're going to represent your 2/3 here, and you're going to divide the 2/3 into 2 parts, 1/3 plus 1/3, as it is shown here. Let's focus on B. On letter B, this whole has 4 parts. So what do you think 1 part represents? What fraction does this part represent? That is correct. This part represents 1/4. What about this one? 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. And if we focus on the shaded part, how many 1/4s are shaded? That is correct. You have 2/4 shaded. This part represents 1/4, and this part represents 1/4. So the sum of these unit fractions represents the shaded part, which is 2/4. I would like you to try C. Don't forget to pause the video. Now you have to be extra careful for letter C. So this whole represents fifths. Each part represents 1/5. Why do you think each part represents 1/5? Think about it. Share. That is correct, because there are 5 equal parts in this whole. So the shaded portion represents 3/5. Okay, this part here represents 1/5. What about this part? This is why I say letter C is a little tricky. What about this part? How many 1/5s are together? That is correct, 2/5. So now this is a different way of finding the sum for 3/5. So 3/5 is equivalent to 1/5 plus 2/5. Students, I forgot to mention that we're currently on page 4 in the green book. If you don't have the green book, just go ahead and find in your notes module 5 lesson 1. Your parents should have printed out the paperwork for you. Okay, students, go to page 5. Let's go to letter G. Letter G is a little different. So key point 1, draw a fraction strip. It's already drawn. Key point 2, label with unit fractions. Okay, so let's find the whole. The whole starts here and ends there. How many parts from here to there? Exactly, there are 4 parts. So each part represents what fraction? Yes, each part represents 1/4. So what that is key point number 2. Label with unit fractions. Okay, but I see more than this shaded. So what we're going to do is we're going to show the sum of unit fractions that represents the whole amount that is shaded. But we know that one whole starts here and ends here, which is 4/4. So let's count all the 1/4 that are shaded. 1/4, another one, another one, another, another, and another. How many 1/4 is that? That is correct, 6/4. So this represents 6/4. You have how many 1/4 here? You have 3/4 plus how many 1/4 here? 2/4 plus how many 1/4 here? 1/4. So 6/4 is equivalent to 3/4 plus 2/4 plus 1/4. Go ahead and try letter H. I'd like to remind you that we actually forgot to do key point 4, which was show using a number bond. So you have your total. What is your total? 6/4. And how many parts is this 6/4 decomposed into? 3 of them. One part represents what fraction? That is correct, 3/4. What about the other part? Correct, 2/4. And the last part? That is correct, 1/4. Okay, let's go on to problem number 2. Let me read you the instructions. Draw and label tape diagrams to match each number sentence. Okay, let's focus on letter B. Key point number 1, draw a fraction strip. So let's focus on the denominator. What are we working with? What units are we working with? Yes, we are working with eighths. So I'm going to draw a fraction strip to represent eighths. There you have it. You have eighths. How many am I going to shade first? 6/8. Okay. Key point 2 says label with unit fractions. So I'm going to shade 6/8. You won't need a highlighter. You can shade it with your pencil. So this represents 6/8 plus 2/8 plus 4/8. We ran out of eighths. Why do you think that happened? That is correct, because 12/8 is greater than 1, which means it's greater than 1 whole. We will need to draw another 1 whole that represents eighths. Make sure that you label each part as a unit fraction. How many more are needed to be shaded? That is correct, 4/8. So notice what we did. We represented 6/8 plus 2/8 plus 4/8, and all of this equals to 12/8, which is greater than 1 whole. So this is drawing and labeling tape diagrams to match the number sentence. So students, I want to remind you on the work that I expect you to complete for today. If you have the green Module 5 book, you are to complete pages 3 and 4, problems 1A all the way through 2D, and then you're going to complete your exit ticket, which is on page 7, which are problems 1 all the way through 2B. If you have any questions, don't forget that I'm available anytime from 11 to 12. I'd also like to remind you that you may pause this video, or you can replay this for your convenience. If you, for any reason, didn't understand something that I went over, you can stop it now and you can replay it at any point throughout the day. Okay, students, we'll see you next time. Have a great day.